Do you ever find yourself saying this? I love other people better than I love myself. Nah, I don't like how I said that. So I'm gonna just keep going on this one, but we're gonna keep that. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know what? You ever find yourself looking at other people and be like, yo, how do they have so many friends? Like they look like they're having such an amazing time. Like how? Like they're laughing at each other's jokes. Like, how are they doing that? Are you ever perplexed? Like, and you're standing on the outside and you're like, okay, or maybe you're part of that group, but you still are like, yo, what am I even doing here? How are they even accepting me in this space? That could be emotional neglect from childhood, that you don't know how to recognize your emotions and you can't connect to the environment around you because you don't know how to connect to your emotions because nobody else has connected. Let me correct that. The attachment figures and the significant people in your life did not connect with you emotionally. And so maybe you were in a home where you were always hyper criticized, right? Your mom or your dad were typically hypercritical, and so you could never get anything right. And so there was nobody affirming you to tell and validating you and saying, hey, you're doing amazing, I'm so proud of you, keep going, right? When you messed up, it was like a big deal. You were scared, you were terrified, you were trembling. There was no affirmations. And so this journey is going to be one for you, for us, of navigating through being wanted. It's going to be one of navigating through being seen. Oof. And let me just tell you, being seen, like people actually seeing you, whether you want to or not, if you're used to hiding, my hand is up. To be seen can almost be terrifying. You know, it's like when you see that mouse and they turn on the light and the mouse scatters, right? All of a sudden you don't see the vermin. But as the light of the world, as a city on a hill that cannot be hidden, you need to be seen. And the world needs you to be seen. We need you. Like that's the biggest part. And I think a lot of the times from my experience, there are people that have navigated through emotional neglect, and in that space, in that cocoon, they found God because nobody else was talking to them. I know that's my story. I have a big family, but it was when it came to the important things, nobody was asking me. So I had to figure out how to talk to God. And that's when I realized, and I continue to discover how big God is. That God cares about the idiosyncrasies. He cares about the minute things about me. I used to pray just in general, like real, like pray for the poor people. You know the prayers. You know the prayers as a kid, right? And I remember Holy Spirit speaking to me differently. I forgot what he said exactly. It was something along, oh, he said, like, pray with your heart. I was like, oh, wow. You know, like I've been praying like that for years. I'm like, okay, let's try it, you know? Um, and this is what this is going to be like. It's going to be like you living and breathing and experiencing life like you've never experienced it because you're going to be learning you. For those of us that, because this is such a silent experience. Nobody's talking about emotional neglect. And if they are, it's not a lot or enough yet, right? I believe it's going to be on the rise of people talking about our needs not getting met emotionally because most people are not willing to do the work because it's not easy. It's arduous. I'm not going to front. It's going to take some digging and some examining, and you're going to have to do some forgiving, lots of forgiving and letting go in order to move forward. I'm going to base this channel off of Isaiah 61. I read it again and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is about people. This is about really looking at us, God's land, our body, and really thatching and really removing and allowing God to heal. So then that way we get beauty for ashes. And I want to describe ashes like this. You ever try something so hard and then you look up and you're like, you got nothing? It's just ash, it's nothing, it's soot. And you're like, man, if you're anything like me, you're frustrated. Like I just spent hours or days or weeks or whatever it might have been, and you're invested into this thing, and then you look up and you're like, I have nothing to show for all that work that I just put in. That's where God comes in, where he's going to give you beauty for ashes. And you're going to discover value. You're going to discover who you really are, and you're not going to apologize for you anymore. You're just going to be you. And it's going to be congruent to what you know. There's going to be palatability. I think we live in a society where we're trying to be somebody that we're not. But who you are, we need that person. The quirkiness, the weirdness, the idiosyncrasies, we need you. And so my goal is to make sure that I give you what God gives me. I give you what I learned to, right? So then that way you can be all that you can be for whoever you're being it for. First for you, then for others.